So what would Kris do if I needed estate planning? There is only one answer. Alma Dumitru.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So let's talk estate planning, and specifically, you and I have worked together, and it's coming up more and more. I go to a house to list a property. Oh my gosh, now they pull out the documentation, and on title, the husband's deceased and the wife is left with the property and she thinks it's hers, but it's not, and it's too late.
Well, it's too late in terms of avoiding probate. And many times what you're running into that you've sent over are these designations on the deed where it just says X and Y, husband and wife. And the title agent or whoever it was that drafted the deed didn't actually ask them or make any assumptions about, which they shouldn't, but they never addressed the correct language that needed to be added to that in order for the property to be owned by the surviving spouse once the first passes away, because it's extremely simple to just put in the right language and not need a transfer of that 50% interest at the first step. What we're running into is that didn't happen.
Right.
And so now the surviving spouse is having to file a probate simply to own that other 50% that surely their spouse intended for them to own, which is a waste of money and a waste of time. And depending on which attorney you go with, they could be the type that would drain the estate with
Right.
attorney's fees. And that's really sad when that happens because it's such an easy fix. But essentially, if you go to talk to an estate planning lawyer, you're going to talk about setting things up so that if you become incapacitated, someone can easily step into your shoes without needing to go to court, without needing to pay an attorney a lot
of money.
$4 or $5 grand just to start in order to file a guardianship conservatorship. So that's like a living probate. If you just have a wreck or whatever it is and you're incapacitated and don't have things set up. So that's one aspect. Another aspect is, who do you want your assets to go to, and how do you most easily and inexpensively have those assets transfer to your loved ones, whoever you want to leave it to? And if you're going to buy property, how should you be titling it?
Right.
Depending on the rest of your wishes. So that's what you would go to an estate planning attorney for, is just to discuss those things, make sure everything's in place, and essentially then if the worst happens in any type of circumstance, everything is set up so that it can be really simple for you if you're still alive but incapacitated, for your family members once you've passed away. There are ways to avoid litigation between family members, etc. And basically what that does is then your family members can focus on dealing with their grief or dealing with all of the changes that they're now having to face if you've become incapacitated or if you've passed away. Then they can focus on what really matters,
right,
rather than fighting over money or fighting with bankers or whatever it is, paying a lot of money out to attorneys. That's really the tragic thing that happens,
right,
when you're trying to deal with your grief and you can't because you're having to deal with all this other nonsense that could have just been handled ahead of time. So
when's the best time for anybody to come see you?
every day that you're alive and well is the best day to do your estate planning. That's what I always
That's
say.
the tagline.
Because
That's it.
everyone basically, I mean, I've had so many clients that we've worked together and they've set things up, everything's great, and then on Friday they go, you know, I really want to make a change, so I'm going to call her on Monday, and then that client passed away on Saturday.
Wow.
So it happens all the time. It's just a matter of when you think of it and it's important, call me. I will call you back. We'll get it done.
Right.
I have emergency situations all the time where I have to just drop everything and see a client and get it done, sign it today. Okay, we can do it.
Fantastic.
So you got to do it when you feel it's important to do it and not put it off for the next year or a couple days, because you really never know. None of us ever know. That's
Sure.
why I've had powers of attorney since I was 20 years old.
You bet. And in terms of will, the big myth,
Mm-hmm.
I need a will.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more than the will.
It's way more than the will. People are surprised that wills don't do anything for you to avoid probate. And a lot of people, they at least know those key words. I want to avoid probate. They don't really necessarily know why they want to avoid probate, but they've been told and they've heard it and it makes sense. Well, the reason why is a lot of times you can transfer assets without the supervision of the court and without an attorney having to draft a lot of documents and having a whole process by which the court oversees the distribution. That's probate.
Right.
You can avoid that with very simple tools that you can put in place. A will is not really part of that. A will instructs the personal representative, otherwise known as an executor, how you want your assets distributed. But if your assets total over $75,000 in personal property in Arizona or over $100,000 in your real estate interest, then you're filing a probate, and now the court gets to look at your will and go, oh, okay, here's how they wanted it distributed. But it doesn't get you out of probate. So again, people come in and tell me, well, I need a will, or they tell me I need a trust. And I go, how about we just talk about what you're trying to do, and then I'll help you figure out what you actually need, because that's my job. So I don't need people to know what they need. That I will help them know what they need.
Right.
All I need to know is, what do they have?
Yeah.
Who do they want to leave? Yeah. No, well, not necessarily, but it's more like,
And what you have, personally.
what do you have? How is it titled?
Yep.
Who do you want to leave things to? Who do you want managing things and stepping into your shoes if you're not able? On the financial side, on the medical side, on the mental health side, which is separate in Arizona. So I want to know all those things, and then we're going to put something together that makes sense so that it's super simple for everybody.
Fantastic. And for the people that are watching, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Just call me,
And what's your number?
928-821-0099.
Call Alma. You need her more than you think.
Thank you, Kris. You're welcome.